All right, good evening, everyone. Um, this is Andy Zimmerman, otherwise known as the Senior Chief, and we are doing some things this evening that I don't normally do. I don't normally do things like a product review. But tonight, I got to tell you, I'm duly impressed, and I have to give a shout out to Jim Lewis and Model Train Technologies. So, a little bit of background. Um, I have been prepping T-TRAK modules for weeks now to get these things all set up for our show. Here's two branch line modules that I just recently put together. Excuse the junk in the background. And when we're doing these modules, we always are looking for a way to add lights or animate or do any number of things. And a lot of times that means that we have to put a button someplace so that we have a way to activate the animations. So in this case, I have a yard and I have a water tower in it, and I pulled the old water tower off, and I wanted to put this Broadway Limited water tower in. Now this is the 6130, it's unlettered, and it's barn red. It's sound equipped, and it has a motorized spout on it. So it's got the animation here. And of course, I decided that it really needed to be done up in Great Northern scheme. So I made it a Great Northern water tower, although they have one that you can buy. It is Great Northern. I decided I wanted to make this one individualized for my railroad. And as I was getting ready to mount it and set it up on the yard module, I realized that this button wasn't going to work. So, and the reason why it's not going to work is because if you know anything about modular railroading, especially T-TRAK, whenever there's a button on something, kids like to push it. Parents like to push it. So they'll come over and they'll see it, and next thing you know, they're pushing on a module, and the module gets misaligned, and as soon as the module's misaligned, then suddenly you've got a break in the track, or you just have a bow in the track, and engines and cars and things come off readily. So we don't want a button on the front here someplace on the fascia where this is going to happen and things are going to start moving. So I needed a different solution. So while the button works, it's fantastic, thank you very much Broadway Limited, I needed to be able to do that, and I wanted to be able to do that remotely, and I wanted to be able to do it via DCC. So I put a quick request in to Jim Lewis, and this is after I had done multiple hours of research trying to find a DCC activated relay system that was readily available that I could purchase and install. And I found some, but I think that they've gone out of business since the pandemic. Trying to find some of their products is ridiculous, and it's very expensive. So I checked with Broadway Limited. They gave me a couple of names of products, and those products had since been out of production as well. So I reached out to NCE, and NCE was unsure they had anything that would do what I needed to do, because we needed a little bit higher current rating on the outputs, so than what they had available on their current equipment. So I reached out to Jim at Model Train Technologies, because he's always doing innovative things. And Jim picked my brain for a minute, and he said, so what you're looking for is a DCC controlled relay, that the outputs from the relay are independent of the DCC system. So I don't want anything switched from using DCC power out to my product. What I want is to be able to control the switch via DCC and activate the product that has its own separate power source. So Jim said, well, let me see what I can find, and let me see what I can do. And he reached back out to me just a couple weeks later, and he said, you know what, we got a plan, and we have an idea, and I think we can do this for you. And just a few weeks after that, Jim produced this DCC relay controller, and it uses DCC on the input here, which you can see is hooked to my all-in-one control system here, which is all NCE products on the inside. And it has a double pole, double throw switch here. It's got two of them. And the output, I have this hooked up to the center and to the normally open side. So, and that's all listed in Jim's little handbook here. It's so simple, it's just a few pages. It's really easy to set up. It's really easy to use. Your DCC comes in right here. Your switch configuration is here, and as you can see, I have it hooked to the center and to normally open. And you know, there's a quick overview here and some quick information about how it works and how to get it programmed. So basically, to program this, you hook it up to DCC, and once it's hooked to the DCC system, you hold this button down for a few seconds as described in the manual, and then this blue light will come on solid. And when it comes on, then you're going to want to go back and you're going to want to program it up. And in order to program it, you have to program it as a accessory decoder. And on my NCE system, that's fairly easy. So you go over here to select accessory, and in this case I used 1044. I hit enter, and then it's going to ask me normal or routed, 1 or 2. You can hit either one, and when you hit it, it will then, the light will go out, and then it will just pulse like this. And Jim calls that the heartbeat. So that way you know that the relay controller is on and working, so that you have power to it and it's working. So anyway, after I'd hooked that all up, I decided to give this a shot and see how it was going to work. So off of my NCE, I'm going to select accessory, and there it goes. And so now the water tower is operating, and the sound you're hearing is water being poured out. And if you just let it run, you get an overflow, and then you get the there you go. And you get the sound, so then trying to turn it off.
Time to roll.
And there you go. So now the animation has happened, and you're good to go. And it was all activated via this DCC relay controller. So now, I'm not even sure if Jim knows this. I'm pretty sure he does. He's a pretty smart guy. But by doing it this way, I can now take the DCC relay controller and I can program it into my JMRI system so that when we're running engine driver or we're running Y throttle out of our show, that these will show up in the turnout section. So, and I'll show you how we do that. So we go into Panel Pro and we hit Tools and we hit Tables. And then we go over to Turnouts, and I hope that activated. Hold on. Tables. Nope. Didn't do it. Go to Tools. Go to Tables. Go to Turnouts. And it should give you a listing of any turnouts that you currently have programmed in there. So these are all the turnouts that I have programmed in my system, and these all show up in engine driver and in Y throttle. So in order to make this happen, I just have to tell JMRI that it's there. So I go ahead and I hit add, and then I go to hardware address, and then I type in the number 1044, and then I put the username, which is BLI Water Tower, and then I hit enter, and when I do, it shows up right here. Hopefully I didn't lose you there, but it shows up right here, and it shows you, oh, it's closed. So go over here and hit throw it once. You have to throw it a second time, and then it activates. Now if I go back and do the same thing, now remember, it's because it's a double pull, double throw switch, so that's why you have to throw it and then throw it again. It turns it off.
Time to roll.
And you are programmed up. So now you want to save this. So you go to File, and you go to Store. I'm sorry. You go to File, you go to Store, and Store all table content. Now in this case, everything I have is in this file right here, Andy's T-TRAK turnouts, in this XML file right here. So I go ahead and I hit highlight that, and I hit Store. It's going to ask me if I want to overwrite, and I say yes, and then it lists it right there, and it's good to go. Now, by doing this, you've made it available to engine driver and to Y throttle. But there's one additional step, and that step is you have to put it into the startup. And we can talk about that later, but you basically you drop it into the startup, and it runs this file when it starts up JMRI. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how it looks. So you go over here to your phone or your tablet, whatever you're using, and then you hit engine driver or Y throttle. Select the network that you are working on, and in this case, this phone has already been attached to my JMRI system, so it just picked it right up and rolled right in. It didn't ask for a port or a password because it already had it stored. Now when I slide this over to the right, you'll see that the BLI Water Tower is there, along with every other switch that I have listed for my T-TRAK modules. So if I go in here again in Y throttle, in engine driver, and I hit thrown, closed. And there it goes. And then to cut it short, I'm going to do it again, and it pulls it back up. So you can cut it short by doing the double press again. So, but anyway, it's in Engine Driver. It shows up, and I can just use it on my phone. It shows up in JMRI, and of course, I can activate it right off of my NCE power cap. So, anyway, thank you very much for watching. If you have any questions, please put them in the comment section down below. If this video was helpful, hit like and subscribe, and as other videos become available, they'll pop up in your feed. So I hope I didn't bore you to death tonight, but again, thank you very much to Jim Lewis and Model Train Technologies, and for his quick turnaround on innovation and his quick customer support. So you can find these on Jim's website, and I will put the link below in the description so that you guys can roll over to Model Train Technologies and see all the offerings that he has. Y'all have a great evening, and I appreciate you taking the time to watch this video.